Welcome everyone to Wrasslin Raw!
You're listening to Wrasslin Raw, the podcast that takes you back to when the World Wrestling Federation developed a little bit of an attitude. Thank you for joining us. You're here with Ryan Arico.
You're going down! You're going down!
Joe Giammatteo.
I like the way Sonny can twist those knobs.
Oh my. Oh my. I'm the one and only Jason Bartlett, and we're going to examine WWE history one episode of Raw at a time. In this episode of Wrasslin Raw, we're going to be talking about the Raw that aired on November 18th, 1996. This Raw was recorded at the New Haven Coliseum in New Haven, Connecticut, and features Vince McMahon, Jerry the King Lawler, and at times Jim Ross and Sonny on commentary. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Ready.
All right, then, let's get into it. We don't even get entrance music tonight. We go straight into our first match. Stone Cold Steve Austin defeats Mankind with Paul Bearer via disqualification in 9 minutes and 4 seconds. Austin was jawing quite a bit on his way out. He even stopped to pay attention to a fan with a welcome back Hitman sign. That was exactly the wrong thing to do, though, because Mankind was quite impatient to get going, running down the entryway and clotheslining Austin while Austin's music was still playing. The work got going right there on the ramp, and it was looking good. Officials were trying to pull them apart. At one point, Austin and Mankind were rolling around on the floor like a schoolyard fight. It was fucking great. The fighting wouldn't stop, even as the officials were trying to at least steer them into the ring to get the match officially started. Mankind threw Austin into the ring stairs, popping the crowd hard, and my God, what a great spot to kick this episode off. We were almost 4 minutes into the episode before the bell was rung to give us an official start. This did not let up, though. In and out of the ring, over the ropes, and in the corner, and off the apron. Every square foot of the ring area had violence in it. At one point, the competitors wound up at ringside in front of commentary, with Austin reversing a whip and savagely putting Mankind into the crowd barriers that looked and sounded fantastic. I was surprised when Mankind actually put the mandible claw onto Austin, and then equally pleased when Austin just kicked Mankind in the balls to get him to release it. So simple, and yet hasn't been done yet. I loved the Mankind Forever sign in the crowd, opposite the hard camera. I also loved it when Jim Ross said, obviously the referee has been instructed to let this one go as far as it needs to. Because that was in reference to Earl Hebner, the single worst referee in history. And the fact that he did zero refereeing during this match, I mean, it could have been counted out at least 4 times. Could have been DQ'd at least another twice.
I'm kind of glad he didn't, though.
Well, I mean, yeah, but that's not the point here.
Well, where's Harvey Whippleman when you need him?
Exactly.
Right. Doing nothing.
Exactly.
Standing outside the ring.
Zero accountability for these fucking zebras. Just at that moment where I was noting the poor officiating, Hebner had been standing there just watching Austin straight up strangle Mankind. Like, I'm not saying like, you know, like a veiled heel whenever somebody's back is turned. It was clear. It was deliberate. It was just a strangle, a straight up strangle. Worst referee ever. I spent some time just enjoying the match because this was one of those matches until JR yelled, "Here comes the Executioner." And sure enough, the Executioner was in the ring. Executioner was in the ring and actually got quite a few hits in on Austin before Hebner called for the bell to end the match. Gave Austin the DQ victory. But then the Undertaker was out to clear the ring. Not so much to save Austin, but to get some licks in on Mankind and the Executioner. Austin is Austin, though, and once he's alone with the Undertaker's back turned, Austin clotheslines the Undertaker out of the ring. Taker landed on his feet, and with an absolutely "you done fucked up, son" look on his face, climbed back into the ring. The crowd popped on that, but we were not getting that match today, as Austin backed off and slinked away up the entryway. Guys, this was a fantastic start to this episode. I loved the action. I loved the non-stop brutality of this fucking match. And while I didn't quite love the interference, I loved the deal with The Undertaker at the end. Everything is just really starting to fall into place with all of these competitors and the storytelling around them, with the exception of Earl Hebner. He fucking sucks. Joe, what did you think of our show opener?
Well, I think we can all agree that we all wish that this was the original match it was going to be. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Vader.
Absolutely.
So these guys really had to step it up for that. These guys are pretty good friends, right? Like outside of the ring. So it's not surprising that they're able to work so well together. But yeah, just beating the hell out of each other outside for a while, outside of the ring, was fantastic. Just chaos. Like this match was just, the first few minutes was just complete chaos. One thing that I know we can agree on a serious note is Mick Foley is the GOAT of tossing himself over the barriers.
Yeah.
I mean, that is fucking amazing every time. But imagine too how much better this would have been if Vince was not on commentary, because Vince kind of he kind of gives it like that cartoony feeling. So that's kind of a shame, but I mean, you have to enjoy this. I mean, it's good, really good work from these two guys, Stone Cold and Mankind. And what a nice surprise for the New Haven crowd too, to get this, which was not originally scheduled. The Executioner comes in, and yes, it's terrible, but The Undertaker coming out, I mean, like you said, Bartlett, he's not really there to help Austin, but one could think that. But then Austin going after him, and The Undertaker landing on his feet. Like, that's just such fantastic psychology. Just great in-ring storytelling that, hey, maybe we're going to get a program between these two now. Who knows? But yeah, really good way to start the show.
Joe, I couldn't agree more about the fact that we wish this was Vader, right? And we learned at the beginning of it that the 700-pound, by God, Yokozuna is who injured Vader. He crushed him under his girth.
That extra girth.
Yeah, the extra. Because of that, though, we get this, Mankind versus Stone Cold. We didn't even know it was coming. And thankfully, right from the beginning, it seems like JR has completely dropped the bullshit heel gimmick. Him and Vince are just getting along now. There's no more jabs. And the match was better because of it. The way Stone Cold and Mankind beat the shit out of each other. They just fucking killed each other before the match even started. We've said other points in time, this is really feeling like Attitude Era now. And now it's starting to feel like week in and week out that this is Attitude Era. A match like this between two greats, and the way that Earl Hebner didn't interrupt. I mean, I know you hate him, but I'm glad that he was at least going to sacrifice his morals here and allow this one to go. Joe, you briefly mentioned that these two are friends outside, and I know they spent a lot of time at WCW together, and they were road traveling buddies. They carpooled, they shared rooms together to save money. So yeah, the fact that they had such great chemistry with each other is not a huge surprise, but watching this was fantastic up until the end. The Executioner comes in, and it's a shame that he had to ruin it like that. But I would agree with both of you. The little confrontation between Undertaker and Austin, it brought it back up. And to be honest, I don't know about you two, but if it wasn't for the Executioner spot, this might have been another Match of the Year candidate for me, because it was that fun to watch these two go at it.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how they would have ended it.
Yeah.
Without that schmoz there at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, without that, I think it could have been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the exception of the Executioner, there was not a second of this that wasn't entertaining. All of it. When
Stone Cold was stomping 100 times in the Mankind's face, that didn't look fake at all. It just looked like he was kicking him in the face.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up, because whenever I was watching it, it made me think of I mean, you can pick your person. All of the professional wrestling podcasts out there, every single one of them at this point has noted how Austin's Stomp a Mud Hole got shittier and shittier over the years, to the point where, like, nobody cared how good it looked. They just cheered it every time. Whenever I was watching this, I was thinking to myself, that's probably the best that the Mud Hole Stomp has ever looked in Austin's entire career, because it's all going to be downhill from there.
Yeah, I heard too. I think it was that interview with Shawn Michaels that I heard. Mankind, his mask was very tough and hard. So Shawn Michaels was saying that when they had their match at Mind Games, Mick Foley told him, like, hey, you can lay it in on that mask.
I could attest. The one that I made is very stiff. Like, it could take blows. I could definitely see how that could be beneficial in the ring.
Yeah.
One of the big things I took away from this match was Austin solidifying the Texas rattlesnake here. It doesn't matter if you show up and just coincidentally help me. Fuck you. As soon as your back is turned, you're getting it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the don't trust anyone.
Yeah, nobody is safe from that. Not even the Phenom, the Undertaker, you know, quite possibly one of the biggest, if not the biggest guy on the roster right now. Not even he is safe.
But what a way to end it, the Undertaker with that patented flip over the rope onto his feet.
Yeah.
You know, it always looks great. Every time he does it, I love that spot.
Yeah, completely agreed. And with the exception of the Executioner, my God, what could have been? We'll move it along now. We're going to take a look at highlights from that match that Bret Hart and Steve Austin had at Survivor Series last night. And highlights of Psycho Sid's victory, other various scenes to put over the encore of Survivor Series that'll be coming up. We get word that the Nation of Domination will be joining us soon, but prior to that, a quick reminder of what happened just now, and we get some extra footage of that confrontation. Vince McMahon notices that Ahmed Johnson is walking down through the crowd to get a bird's eye view of what will happen with Farouk. Vince must have had a fucking set of binoculars.
Some of the worst camera work I've ever seen.
Ahmed was on the opposite end of the arena wearing all black, coming in through the nosebleed section. Eyes like a fucking eagle.
There were no lights on.
Wait, is that Ahmed Johnson off of this?
Like, where?
Yeah.
Where?
They had the camera on the spot of him coming down the stairs, and I still couldn't see him.
Well, they were zooming in, and it was like the pale blue light or whatever from Carl Sagan zooming in on Earth.
The pale blue dot, yeah.
Pale blue dot, right.
Fuck you, Kevin Dunn, I guess, right?
Well, something that Kevin Dunn loves. Before anything else can happen, here comes Sunny. Sunny was there. She grabbed a mic in the ring and tried to get the crowd a little worked up. She was here to introduce her good friend Farouk. For some reason, Sunny has still something to do with Farouk. But instead of Farouk, we got PG-13 rapping poorly. PG-13 let out Farouk, though. Clarence Mason also. PG-13 was just repeating Farouk in the house, for the most part, over and over again. And I popped hard on the Black Panther fist salute. Fuck yes. Yeah. We went to commercial for the Acclaim Slam of the Week. Apparently there was an Acclaim in Your House video game. I didn't remember that at all. Did you guys?
No. Must not have done very well.
Yeah, this one was very surprising. It kind of came out of nowhere for me. The Acclaim Slam of the Week wasn't a slam so much, it was the concept of Rocky Maivia debuting at Survivor Series. That was cut to audio clips of JR putting Rocky over. That's a blue chipper! That's a blue chipper!
Third generation.
We'll come back to the match in progress, so I will just pause here to ask, Joe, what did you think about the presence of Ahmed Johnson, the way that the Nation of Domination was introduced here, and then the In Your House video game?
I mean, once again, like, where the fuck is he? Where is Ahmed? It looked like they were. It looked like they were using the click cam to try to find him. So bad. Sonny, I'm so glad they switched from that cartoony stripper music and use her song from me. Yeah. Now for Farouk's entrance, so the whole rap thing it's a good idea. I think it's a good concept, but these two guys are not the right ones
to
to do it. And also, like, yeah, it's PG-13, but nobody on commentary is saying anything about these guys. So we have no fucking clue who they are or why they're there, but I guess they're there to be stooges, I guess. I don't know. We'll find out someday.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of touched on mostly the ridiculousness of them seeing Ahmed Johnson off in the distance like that. But okay, they're trying to set up this storyline with Farouk. Sonny, as you stated, Bartlett, they just have to find somewhere to shoehorn her in. So we bring her back as not a manager, but still in some relationship with Farouk, even though he has his own Nation of Domination now, which I guess it's better the less they talk about PG-13. But the fact that they don't mention anything about them was a little bit odd. And now that this is the second time we saw them, but no mention of Wolfie D or PG-13 or who they are. They're just here to terribly rap Nation of Domination down. But that video game, just like we said, I don't remember In Your House video game. I had a PS1. I think it was also Sega CD it came out, or Sega Saturn it said it came out with. But no, don't remember it at all. So maybe it was a bad one.
Yeah, I'm surprised that I can't remember that, because not that I played all of them, but I feel as though I have a pretty good handle on most of the wrestling video games that came out back then, and this one just completely surprised me. So, Joe, you said something that I wanted to touch on real quick. The idea here, the rapping, Nation of Domination coming out, the idea is good, and I 100% agree with that. They've got this, it's almost like a cross between NWA and Public Enemy thing going on in the look and delivery.
Especially for 1996. The look is,
Do you guys think, either one of you, whoever wants to take this up, do you think that this would have been better served with Oscar instead of PG-13?
Oh God!
Bring Oscar back.
No.
He had a little bit of rap skill, right? I mean,
it would be better than PG-13.
He would maybe be able to deliver it better.
To be fair to Oscar, he was 93. But by the time 96 comes around, I mean, you've already got all your gangster rap out there. Tupac, Biggie, all those guys are at the top of their game right before they died, I guess.
Yeah. Well, plus, like you say, Oscar was a while ago. By this point in history, he had maybe fully devolved into Beetlejuice for the Howard Stern show.
Wow.
That was his fate. He traded up to spend some time with Men on a Mission. All right, so let's move along to the next match. Farouk, with Clarence Mason and PG-13, defeats Savio Vega by pinfall in approximately 8 minutes and 15 seconds. The time here is approximate because we didn't catch the opening bell, but it was fairly close. We get the great news that Shawn Michaels has taken Jose Lothario back to San Antonio. Hopefully he will stay there one way or the other. In the ring, Farouk and Savio look just a step off with one another. This was nothing huge. Savio was maybe a little too fast, or Farouk was maybe a little too slow, or somewhere in between, but for a good chunk of this match, they just really couldn't get it together on the timing, it felt like. We got a split screen, so we could get some more of Sonny's cleavage out there. It did nothing to enhance anything, and I was genuinely wondering why the hell she was there at all, especially if Clarence Mason is Farouk's manager now and PG-13 is going to do the Nation of Domination introductions. She was like triply redundant here. We got more split screens, but this time of Ahmed Johnson in the audience. He looked like he had maybe gained a little weight and ought to be driving a semi-truck.
Yeah, he looked like someone out of Over the Top.
Yes, he did.
Like the trucker hat.
Which made it even more ridiculous that Vince picked him out of the crowd 300 yards away.
He dressed to blend in to the nosebleeds, and they still found him.
No lights up there.
It's a good thing he's like 10 times bigger than everyone else there. Otherwise, would have had no idea.
In the ring, Farouk hit Savio with an amazing spine buster. I said oof out loud on that one. And during another split screen, Farouk suplexes Savio, and that looked pretty rough. Like Savio went down on the back of his head instead of his shoulders. And the word nemesis got dropped by Vince McMahon in reference to Farouk and Ahmed, and it was only a matter of time before it happened. I look forward to hearing it many more times out of Vince in the future. There might as well have been a constant split screen going on here, though, between Ahmed and Sonny. the entire match. We just kept going back to it. They might as well have just left it up there. And what amounted to a 4-person booth was not a benefit to this match at all, in my opinion. You had JR, you had the King, you had Sonny, you had Vince McMahon, and very rarely did any of them sound good here. And then Vince shouts, "Only in the World Wrestling Federation," as Savio tripped on the ropes and took both himself and Farouk tumbling over the corner post and apron to the floor. It's a good thing there wasn't any fucking ring stairs on that corner, because that was a pretty rough looking botch. Once back in the ring, we can't let the action get in the way of the script, as Savio and Farouk very ham-fistedly get into position and put Savio outside, where PG-13 is waiting to very poorly work an attack on Savio with a 2x4 before tossing Savio back into the ring for Farouk to pin. This, of course, draws Ahmed Johnson down from the balcony. He had to have started it moving like minutes prior to the finish.
Beginning of the match.
Time. Yeah. Well, that was
snakeskin cowboy boots too, by the way. Can't move very quick in this.
There must have been a spot that we just missed with the referee like waving up at him like, "Hey, it's time to start coming on down." Ahmed clears the ring, almost hurts some fans by throwing the 2x4 at PG-13. Got a pretty decent crowd pop doing it, though. Ahmed gets on the microphone to cut a promo on Farouk. Pretty nice in its simplicity. Ahmed gets the crowd to chant, "You're going down," along with Ahmed, and that is pretty much where this segment ends. Ryan, I didn't think this match was a barn burner at all, but it did do a fairly good job of setting up Farouk and the return of Ahmed Johnson. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a solid match. You know, these two guys, as you said, they were maybe a half a step off, but by midway, they were starting to pick it up and working better with each other. Farouk lands that always great looking spine buster. Every time he does it, that looks great. The follow-up suplex a couple moves later, though, was a little bit rough, but the amount of split screen, I mean, all we saw was Sonny and Johnson. Well, I mean, we saw it as much as the match, at least, and how much time they gave the split screen. But I thought these two big guys, they were going at it pretty nonstop. I mean, they weren't wasting much time. A little bit, there was a headlock for, maybe 20 seconds at one point. But PG-13 really ruining things with their work with that 2x4 on Savio.
Did they bring that out? Like, how did that get there? Did I miss that?
So commentary was talking about Farouk carrying a 2x4 as Farouk was coming down the entryway, but the camera never showed it.
Okay, all right.
But he might as well have not have brought it, because they didn't swing it at Vega. They laid it on him.
Yeah.
And then they roll him in, and Farouk gets the victory. And then Ahmed coming down, he clears the ring. You know, the fans were cheering for him, so that was good. He got the "You're going down" chant going, and him and Farouk jawed each other a little bit. I would agree, nothing fantastic, but it was a solid match, and I thought it did its job here.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I think that the match, Bartlett, like you said, it was a little off. I think maybe Farouk is just still a little too new to the WWF, maybe, and hasn't really worked with all these guys, but hopefully that'll get better, because this match was not good. It was just sloppy. But like we mentioned, it's all basically kind of setting up the stuff with Ahmed Johnson. I think that this probably would have been better had Vince not done the whole Ahmed in the crowd thing. Yeah. I think that if Ahmed would have just come out during the match, kind of like we saw The Undertaker come out in the last match, I think it would have been a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, this didn't cause me to want to scoop the litter box, that's for sure. I think that this was a pretty good setup for something that we're going to see between Ahmed Johnson and Farouk. And also, this is the first time that we're seeing the Nation of Domination as a single.
Yes.
Because we saw them at the Survivor Series with a whole bunch of other guys. So it was kind of cool to see it as a single.
Yeah, completely agree with that. And it was, as much as I, don't like seeing Savio do the job here, at the same time, it's fitting. Farouk needs to look good. The whole thing needs to look good. Still don't know why Sonny was put in front of that, but between Farouk and Clarence Mason, that right there is enough. PG-13, it's all right. Doesn't hurt it, but it doesn't help it either. So I'm looking forward to two things in particular. I'm looking forward to some of the promos that we're going to get out of Nation of Domination, because back then, whenever we were kids watching this, I don't know that I had the full appreciation for what he was saying back then. So fresh ears going into some of his promos, and also knowing what we know now from all of the various wrestling podcasts about the history between Ahmed Johnson and Farouk.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing what these matches between these two are going to look like. Just see how many potatoes we can catch in there, Speaking of catching potatoes, let's move on to the Karate Fighters commercial. This was the holiday tournament. This time it's going to be Bob Backlund taking on Sonny. And for the record, this episode was recorded live on November 18th, 1996. The 1996 presidential election was on November 4th. And based on the tally we kept, Wrasslin Raw did not vote Bob Backlund for president in the 1996 election. Bill Clinton ended up winning, so we did not have to reach back into the past and change history like we so often do. And now that that's said and done, we can all pretend like tallying votes for Bob Backlund never happened.
Oh, good.
I thought you would like that.
The shame of it is, I didn't even think about that it was over. I was going to give him a positive today.
Oh, why?
I don't know. I found him funny here today. There was just something about it that I found funny today, and I was going to give him a positive, but I guess he doesn't get it. Too late.
Is it because this was the fucking worst he's ever been? Is that why you liked it so much?
Maybe he's finally at peak Backlund.
Peak Backlund. My God.
And was forcing me to give him a positive, but he was so peak that it was after the election. He already lost.
Yep.
Well, also, are we sure that they're not recounting the votes? Are you sure that Bill Clinton has been declared?
That's the next, or a couple elections later.
Yeah.
Well, unless Bob is demanding a recount, I don't know. We'll see.
It might have been old Ross Perot. No, I wouldn't talk shit on Ross Perot in 1996.
But you would on Earl Hebner.
Yes, you're goddamn right I will. Every chance I get. Let's move it along, though. Remember, we're going to pretend like it never happened. Sonny won. Just the whole thing was fucking ridiculous. But it's still mildly entertaining, not Backlund, but this whole tournament thing. I'm glad they're keeping the tournament brackets going after Survivor Series. Part of me was thinking that they were going to figure a way to cram them all in leading up to that so we wouldn't have to hear about it again. But for what it is, for being an on-screen commercial during our paid subscription service on the Cock, it's still entertaining, so I guess I'll take it. Coming up, Jim Ross is going to be interviewing the new champion Psycho Sid. But first, Vince needed to kill some time reviewing the finish of the championship match from Survivor Series. Vince states that Jose Lothario appeared to be in full cardiac arrest.
Jeez.
Which, for anybody that knows, that's not good.
Are we on board that with Dave Meltzer that this shit is more tasteless than Pillman with a gun?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jose refused all medical attention, though, which is something that somebody in full cardiac arrest would not be able to do.
He's a fast healer.
So it must not have been that bad.
You got 90% blockage, Jose. Leave me alone.
Man, they got that stent in there fast. Camera then zoomed in on a close-up of Vince while Vince was going on a tangent about Shawn Michaels, just figuratively gobbling Shawn's cock while the New Rockers music played in the background.
He's a man's man.
What a fantastic scene.
He deserves a rematch, god damn it.
That is what transitions us to the next segment, so I will pause here to ask, Ryan, what did you think about the Karate Fighters tournament update and Vince gushing over Shawn Michaels yet again?
Well, I already told you that I was going to give Bob Backlund a positive, so I enjoyed the Karate Fighter tournament just like you, that they're continuing it. As we've already mentioned a few times, way to go on getting this commercial and how long it is. I mean, exciting stuff for them. Vince, just gushing over Shawn Michaels and that, completely ripping into Sid for hitting Jose with a camera. And then, as you stated, full cardiac arrest. Then refuses medical attention, completely recovers from cardiac arrest, and then...
Sorry, man. It's fucking hilarious to me.
It's absurd. Completely absurd. So I wonder, though, I do wonder, will this actually be the end of Jose Lothario? Is this going to be what finally gets him off our screen? Because I feel like it might be. Him going in the full cardiac arrest, he probably has to go back and kind of rest in San Antonio. I mean, they said they brought him there, so I'm assuming they're going to leave him there.
Mm.
Yeah.
And bury him there. It's because...
He's dead. He had
there's still a possibility that he's dead.
Full cardiac arrest.
It's just nerves. It's just nerves refusing medical attention.
The Karate Fighters thing, I noticed the next round is something that is interesting. A real life feud that I don't think the WWF ever really capitalized on. It's Sonny versus Sable.
Nice.
Second round, so that'll be fun to watch.
Hopefully Sonny just fucking slaps Sable.
This is where we got a glimpse of Sid in the back with Jim Ross, right? Mm-hmm. Sid had like those dumbbells.
Yeah.
I don't know how they didn't slip out of his hand with all that baby oil. But yeah, Vince publicly expressing his love for Shawn Michaels. I mean, he lays it all out there.
The greatest champion ever.
Yeah, he may be a ladies' man, but Shawn Michaels proved last night that he's a man's man.
Oh, my God. If he were a man's man, he would not have let Jose Lothario succumb to cardiac arrest.
Well, yes, this is right after Vince tells us that Jose might be dead. Sid killed him.
Probably
Sid
dead.
killed him.
Just beat a heart attack right into him. Holy shit. Okay. So I don't know why I find that so fucking funny. Full cardiac arrest.
Because it's kind of funny.
That means he is dead.
Yes. Yes.
For any of our listeners out there wondering, just so we're clear, that means he is fucking dead. And I didn't see anybody put paddles on his fucking old ass.
No.
So.
Well, I mean, maybe they were going to short some wires on that camera and jumpstart him with that.
Yeah. That's the hot wire.
MacGyver style.
Whew. Okay. Well, let's move it along now to our final match of the night. Doug Furnas and Phil LaFawn defeat Leif Cassidy and Bob Holly by pinfall in 6 minutes. Looks like I might have been right about Marty Jannetty getting hurt at Survivor Series.
Or did he get fired again, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. It also begs the question of just how far Bob Holly can fall before he gets the Jobber of the Week treatment, Ryan.
Oh, my.
So if he would have took the loss here, like if he would have got pinned.
Okay.
I was going to give it to him. As it started, I was like, Bob Holly is probably going to get it here. And then he didn't get pinned. And I was like, I don't think that's fitting for him.
Can we go back? Can we go back in time and just give it to him when he crashed that car at the snowball
derby?
Yeah.
Where I fucked up, where I should have gave it to him was when Ahmed Johnson manhandled him in the the stairway. The stairway.
Yeah.
He should have got it there, but it wasn't a match, and I don't know. I feel like I maybe fucked up there.
Yeah.
Well, something tells me you may have another opportunity.
I'll have my chance. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know that I started, whenever I first pulled up the match card for this show and started watching.
So did I. As soon as I saw them come out, I was like, oh, Bob Holly. This might be your day.
How can he not? But no, you're right. That's pretty good thinking there on that one, which just goes to show that we made the right decision in appointing you the chief jobber selector. Good judgment.
I take my job seriously.
But then Furnas and LaFawn came out, and Captain Lou Albano was following them, acting like their manager. Nobody at all.
Has there ever been a time where someone looked more uninvited? Like it looked like he didn't belong there, and no one invited him.
That's why he sat with the Spanish announcers table.
Right.
Nobody even acknowledged him at all until Lou sat down at the Spanish announce table. No, he came the whole way down the entryway and around ringside, and it wasn't until he was putting on the fucking, earmuff things that they acknowledged his presence. And we did get a split screen of Lou Albano faking speaking Spanish with, was that Cabrera that he was sitting next to?
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, we can just all forget about Lou Albano now. I continue to be a little impressed with Furnas and LaFon. I am not turned off yet. They were looking pretty good here. I'm, as good as they can look, given the scenario that they're in. But then we got another split screen. This time it was the tag champs, the British Bulldog and Owen Hart, there with Clarence Mason, and they were putting over Furnas and LaFon for the Survivor Series victory from last night. So that was all right. It felt ham-fisted and slapped together, probably because of the broadcast being live. But hey, man, whatever. It was good to see them putting a little bit of something behind Furnas and LaFon. I noticed then that the crowd and I were both sitting down for this one, literally on their part and figuratively on mine. Despite some good moves happening in the ring, there was just not a lot of energy for this. The best move, though, was the finisher that Phil LaFon put on Leif Cassidy. That, I am 95% sure. I do not know what the traditional name for it is, but I'm 95% sure that was a T-bone Tazplex.
Wow.
One of Taz's finishers from ECW. Again, not sure what the regular name on that is, but it looked good and it got the job done. It was fucking sweet. That was our final match of the night, but not the end of the show. So before we get to that, let me ask you, Joe, what did you think of the follow-up to Furnas and LaFon's Survivor Series debut here?
Well, it started with a lot of questions. Did Marty get fired? Who invited Lou Albano?
Are the Rockers dead?
Yeah. Why did no one put Lou Albano through that Spanish commentary table? But yeah, Furnas and LaFon, they're kind of fun to watch. It's nice to get a little fresh tag team in there. They don't really do anything that make them a great tag team. Like, they don't really have any good tag team moves or anything like that, but they're both pretty good wrestlers. You know how a lot of guys will say that the rings back in those days had zero give to them?
Yeah.
I notice it a lot, especially when Bob Holly's in there, because I don't know. To me, he works so stiff. Every time he lands on the ring, it's just you see there is zero give. Pretty brutal. But yeah, this match was okay. Another thing too was the interview with Bulldog and Owen Hart and Clarence. This was a pretty good promo, and I'm starting to notice that Owen Hart, he's starting to shed that whiny little brother gimmick and kind of coming into his own. We know that he's going to eventually join a stable with his brother Brett, but I feel this is kind of the early stages of that, and he's really starting to ditch that whiny little brother thing.
At the beginning, as you said, there's a lot of questions about Marty and the Rockers and why Captain Lou is here. Again, who invited him? I don't. It's like Ahmed Johnson. I think he bought a ticket and then he just forced his way out here to harass the Spanish announcers table. I would agree with both of you. Furnas and LaFon, they look solid. This was, again, nothing great, but very solid in the ring. Cassidy and Bob Holly, they do their job here that they need to. When Owen and Bulldog come in, the only problem with it was Owen, I thought, was so engaging. I wanted to pay attention to it. I completely forgot about what was happening in the ring until he was finally done, and then, went back to it. But there was a few moves here that looked a little bit rough, though. I think it was when Doug came in. Immediately he gets tagged in. He just walked into Cassidy's headlock. He basically applied it to himself. It didn't look all that smooth, but after that, the finisher looked good, and for the most part, most of the ring work was pretty entertaining too. So as far as what we typically get as a Raw tag team match, I thought this was, some of the best we're going to get on a Raw, because usually it's filled with nothing but distractions, but thankfully they did give this one a little bit of time to, again, try and display this new tag team, which we desperately needed a little bit of a new tag team blood. So it's good to see that.
Yeah, absolutely agreed there. It's good to see a tag team that doesn't have a cartoony gimmick.
Yeah.
And
they're just two guys.
I think I mentioned this whenever we were watching Survivor Series. It's refreshing to have two guys that come out that look like wrestlers, that are stripped of any kind of cartoony gimmick, and they just get in and get the work done. It's the best possible thing they could have done with the tag team division, with a new team here. And getting back to Captain Lou Albano, because I can't drop this. I pictured, Ryan, whenever you said he, somehow he showed up, I pictured the scene from when the Simpsons went to Australia, and when they're getting airlifted out at the end, there's the koala that attaches to like the bottom of the helicopter. That must have been Lou Albano attached to a big rig truck leaving Madison Square Garden from Survivor Series.
Who told him where we were going?
Yeah.
He must have latched onto the side and got himself to New Haven here. Nobody, don't sell it. And you can picture all of these people, Vince, Lawler, everybody just saying like off microphone to each other, don't sell it. Don't encourage him. Don't let him know that we're excited that he's here. Don't pretend like anybody cares. Well, let's move on to the final segment of our episode here. After we put over the Survivor Series encore one more time, we still have to get to Jim Ross interviewing Psycho Sid. Sid's music got the crowd back on their feet after that match. But before we get to that, though, Doc Hendricks comes on to let us know that you can buy a plaque with an actual piece of the ring rope from the championship match, individually numbered and with a photo of Sid. Not Sid and Shawn Michaels, just Sid. And I wonder what those are going for these days.
So I did some research.
Yeah?
Yes, I did. So you did too, Joe?
I saw one for $1,000.
Well, all right, I'm going to give you the full rundown here of what I looked up. If you're done, Bartlett.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we'll go on to talk about JR and Sid once you're done.
Okay, so here we had it $60 plus $8 shipping, so that's $68 in 1996, right?
Right.
So in today dollars, that comes out to $128. I went to a website so I could look it out exactly. So almost double, 88% increase to today's dollars. But this Sid picture, like in the actual piece of the rope plaque, it seems like it's pretty rare. If you go on eBay, I found two on eBay. This is U.S. currency pricing. The first one was for $999, so $1,000, and the other one is $1,200. So I guess a pretty good investment if you would have bought this back then. And just while I was there, I did a little bit more digging around, and you can get the Batman Undertaker action figure for a little over $100 opened or $275 unopened.
Jeez.
It comes with the teardrop tattoo as well.
Oh, okay.
Removable?
I don't think the tattoo is, but the Batman wings look to be removable.
Oh. Okay. He has to wrestle. I mean, he has to take the wings off to wrestle.
You could get even cheaper than $100, but it looked like those ones were missing the detachable wings. And who wants that? I mean, what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
I was really surprised at how cheap the ring rope plaque was. Considering,
really?
Yeah. No. I mean,
$1,000. Oh, you mean the price that they asked for it?
Yeah, what they were selling it for in 1996.
Because it said there's 2,500 of them, I think, is what.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the top rope, and it was just naturally limited to 16 feet to a side is what their rings are. I think. I don't know exactly, but it's whatever it is. There's only so many feet of it, so for it to be that cheap, I was really surprised.
Well, for it to be $120 now, I mean, that I don't know if I'd consider that cheap, though.
But if you look at your return on investment there, that's...
Well, yeah.
That's like, what, a 1,000% return? Something like that? I don't know. My math sucks. All right. Well, let's get back to JR and Sid here. We're going to go to JR, and he's going to get in there and see what Sid has to say. Sid was looking great in the ring after coming on down. When asked if Sid feels guilty about what Sid did to Jose Lothario, Sid drops a great line when he says, "When Jose put his ass on the apron, he became part of the game." Great fucking line from Sid there. When asked if Sid is going to be a fighting champion, Sid says he's going to do it for the people. And when asked about Bret Hart specifically, Sid is going to end Brett's comeback at In Your House on December 15th. Kudos to Sid for remembering to get December 15th in there a couple times. He did start to go off the rails a little bit in some of his sentences, but he always managed to bring it back to get the correct pitch to the pay-per-view in. Sid claims once more to be the master and ruler of the world. One guy in the crowd right behind him starts jumping up and down and going apeshit with the announcement of that news. And that's it. That's where our episode ends. So, Joe, please get us started on Sid's interview and the way that Raw ended tonight.
Well, I mean, isn't it crazy that he's still a babyface, even though he possibly killed Jose Lothario?
Sent him in the full cardiac arrest.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
You have to face me, Brit man.
Brit man.
I mean, Hitman. Another good Sid gaff on the mic. Yep. That was funny. I'm curious to know. So Sean's going to win this back soon and then lose his smile. But do you guys know like why they went with this transitional champion angle with Sid? We might find out later, but I'm just curious if you guys happen to know.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know.
Sean, I don't think needs time off, right? Like he's not injured or anything. So
I don't know. I always kind of assumed that it had something to do with the whole Sean and Brett drama.
Yeah, maybe Brett was supposed to beat Sid or something. I don't know, but maybe we'll find out. But yeah, I thought this was a pretty good interview with Sid, and it's crazy that he's still a babyface even though he killed a man last night on TV.
Only thing I had to highlight was after Vince all day trying to make Sid the bad guy, we're just going to talk to him like a baby face here. And I thought he did a good job of defending himself when JR asked him if he had any remorse, the line that you brought up, Bartlett, when Jose put his ass on the ring, that was a great line. And then I think it ended with something like only misery could come of that,
Yeah.
He did go a little bit off the rails throughout the Brit man. I got a good laugh when he said that, but solid interview with Sid here. And regardless of what Vince wants, the crowd still like him.
All right. Well, as I said, that's the end of our episode. So let's take it on over now to highlights and lowlights. Ryan, why don't you keep going there?
All right, well, the highlight I thought was easy. Mankind Stone Cold match. They just beat the ever-living shit out of each other, and it looked great from both guys. So it was a lot of fun to watch. Right up until the Executioner, which leads me into my low light. The Executioner. This was a fairly strong Raw, so I didn't want to put it on anything that didn't deserve it. And I thought the Executioner did, because he took what I was about to make a Match of the Year candidate and just crush it into the ground. So he has to get the low light for that. He executed it, so I guess he's living up to his name.
My highlight is, the fact that we got Mankind to step in for Vader. I think that's a great highlight. And my low light is Lou Albano showing up uninvited. Get out of here.
I'm going to be mirroring you, Joe. Highlight Austin versus Mankind. Enough said there. For my low light, Ryan, like you had said, really strong episode all around. There were some things that got over better than others, but all around just pretty entertaining. So I had to be a nitpicking dickbag here, and my low light, I just went with unwelcome pop-ins. For example, see Sonny, see Lou Albano. Hopefully that's not something that continues. Hopefully they figure out a way to make sure he doesn't know where they're going next. Joe, do you happen to have any contemporary wrestling news from on and around November 18th, 1996 for us?
Yeah, just a few things to highlight this week. The latest news in the Monday Night Wars is that Eric Bischoff turned heel and joined the NWO on the November 18th episode of Nitro. So the authority figure has gone heel this early on. Do you guys remember a wrestler named Brackus?
Yes.
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah. I mean, the name, basically.
Well, we saw Rocky Maivia debut, and we've seen Mark Henry in the ring, and they are part of the first group of development guys that WWE had. Well, there was a third guy. His name was Akeem Albrecht, and he was a former bodybuilder that is being trained by Dr. Tom, just like Mark Henry and Rocky Maivia. And apparently he's going to be debuting soon. And I looked up like who this guy is, and his name was Brackus. So we will possibly, figure out why we don't remember this guy.
Yeah.
Very soon. So look for him to debut. And Dave Meltzer, he's under the impression that the whole man's man commentary from Vince McMahon is a result of all of the booing that Shawn Michaels received from the Madison Square Garden crowd the night before.
Poor Shawn got his feelies hurt.
I told you. I said in that one, he did not take kindly to those boos.
Yeah. And that's all this week.
Oh. Whenever it comes to old Baracus there, I wonder if I'm thinking of B.A. Baracus from the 80s.
Oh, God. Oh, that's a little more memorable than
certainly,
this guy. Yeah.
Certainly.
I'm just saying, maybe that's why that name sounds familiar to me. I don't know. I'm going to have to...
Brakus, I think, is...
Baracus.
Maybe 2 Ks. But, yeah, I have a feeling we're going to know why we don't remember him.
There's probably a good chance that we'll get a in-depth report about his life.
Right before we pretend like he never happened, right?
Yeah.
This is not a blue chipper. Right here.
All right. That's it, folks. We are done with this one. I want to thank you again for joining us. If you like what we're doing here and want to connect with us, you can email us at WRASSLINRAW. Just add @gmail.com to the end of that to submit questions or comments. Check us out on social media and on every podcast subscription platform. While you're there, don't forget to follow and subscribe to get every episode of Wrasslin Raw coming to you every week. Give us a 5-star review and let your friends know how much cooler they would be if they became Rawheads like you and me. Next week on Wrasslin Raw, we're going to take a look at the Raw that aired on November 25th, 1996, with matches featuring Rocky Maivia, The Executioner, and many more. So, for Joe and Ryan, I'm Jason, and this has been Wrasslin Raw.